All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. My name is Dallas Lenear from Project Green, and I'm here with a special guest today, Sydney Davis from Nix Code. Would you say hello, please, Sydney?
Hey, good afternoon.
All right. I am so excited to meet you and to hear about what great things you have going on uh, professionally, and um, and I know that my audience will look forward to learning about you and your business as well. And so, Sydney, since this is our first time talking, let me just share a little bit about Project Green, and then most of the time we want to hear about you. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right. So, Project Green is the grassroots economic empowerment network. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization based here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Our mission is helping families to rewrite their financial legacy, and our vision is turning everyday people into money heroes. And we see a money hero as someone who's pursuing their own financial goals, and then they turn and help somebody else to do the same. And so they can do that by attending one of our workshops and then just passing that on to someone else, or uh, building wealth and passing that down to the next generation. And so we do financial capabilities training where we're speaking to the individual to say, here's what we believe are some tried and tested ways to handle your money and some best practices for you. But then we also do advocacy where we look at systems and we say to those systems, these are the barriers that need to be removed so that low to moderate income people can reach their financial goals. And what we're most known for here locally is really pushing against payday lending, and so we continue to do that both directly and indirectly through our programming. So, um, so I will say this by way of transitioning over to you, but in our workshops, one of the things that we frequently hear is we're talking to people about understanding money, saving money, and growing their money. Uh, just last week, someone asked, "Okay, are you going to teach us how to make more money?" And I said, we give a little bit of introduction to that, but we don't do a deep dive because, of course, that can be so individualized and people have different gifts and skills. But we do introduce them to some business incubators who can take them to that next step. But you have taken that next step already, right? You've developed the business, and I would love for you to tell us a little bit about who you are and an introduction to your business.
Absolutely. So I'm Sydney, founder of Nix Code. It is a no-code app development SaaS platform that leverages AI and machine learning to help you automate building, hosting, and monitoring your app so that we take the frustration out of becoming a product developer and making it more seamless for those who are non-technical or don't have a tech team or a CTO.
All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, tell me what made you launch this business in the first place, Sydney?
Um, Well, so background, I used to do just freelance app development, and it was a little bit apparent that folks needed to build products. They were a little strapped on capital to build it, and I'm also a big advocate of your first product. You should not invest tons of money in because you're going to learn so much. You're going to pivot. You're going to change. So start lean and kind of go through iterations as you validate what people want to buy. And so that's why I said, okay, no code one allows them to get a start on their own, like have independence of managing their product out there, and get it done affordably and quick to start validating faster. However, so through my years of doing that, because I've had about like 10 years of experience in the no code space. However, I noticed recently in the last year and a half or two that no code is just a starter solving their problems. At the root of it, it's still complicated to build something in no code, right? You think, okay, no coding, I can do it, but building a product still requires critical thinking, some engineering mindset, and sometimes even that is still too technical to comprehend how to piece and formulate things together. And so that's where Nextcode realized that amongst all no code solutions, there's this issue that People needed help to build a product, and then once they build it, it's like, okay, now what? How do I go to market with it? How do I know it's performing well? I've never been in this app space before. How do apps get ranked top 10 on the app store and all these things and make all this money? So that's where we said, okay, there could be some type of AI and machine learning component to ask you some input questions and tell you, okay, based on that, here's some no-code tools you need to use and how to build a user experience around it. And then once you build it, we'll continue to monitor and host the app to give you the data like, hey, users are bouncing. People aren't staying on your app more than 2 seconds, or they're clicking through, but not to this part of the app. So maybe they're finding it hard to navigate to, or they don't know what's there, right? So as a non-technical person or a non-product manager, you actually now have a tool give you the insights and analytics on how to make informed decisions about your business.
That is amazing. All right. Well, between my wife and me, she says that I'm the techie person,
Okay.
because I got a computer information systems degree in the 90s, right? It was a long time ago. So I tell her, yeah, I might know a couple things more, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning. And
Oh
so
yeah.
you talked about no code. So no code, is that just an industry term that covers a bunch of different no code platforms or systems, or is there a particular software that's called no code?
No code is the terminology for the new space in SaaS. So you have software, for an example, um, let's just use Adobe versus Canva. And when we say no code tools, it's thinking of Adobe and how, like, oh my God, masking and all these fancy terms and dropping layers and these things. Canva said, let's take all that technical thing out of it and let's just make designing graphics easier, right? So Canva is a no code tool of designing. Airtable is the no code tool of Excel spreadsheets, right? Creating formulas and data tables can be hard, but people like Airtable, things like that, try to make it easier and require the no code. And it, not that any of these things require any code, is the fact that it requires some type of technical competence to actually use a software. And so we say no code is just how we categorize the type of software in the space that we're in. We're for the non-technical.
Okay, I love it. So you mentioned SaaS as well. What's that?
The SaaS is software as a service.
Okay.
So it means you just subscribe to a software that could be emails, Microsoft Office, so SaaS platforms. Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, um, so you talked about, people want to figure out how can they get into these top 10 in the App Store and make a whole lot of money. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that later, but tell me a little bit more about Nick's Code. I've read that you've won at least one business pitch competition. Maybe there's more. You might be part of one right now, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me what you've learned from these pitch competitions that you've done.
Absolutely. So I've definitely done the pitching route quite a bit, from ideation before I even had a product. I won a pitch competition to continue to pitch to not only gain investment, pitching for grants and opportunities and services, but also pitching to participate in programs and things of that sort to help me grow and scale my business and support me as a founder. Um, and so some of the things I've taken away from pitching is just the opportunity to be front and center and see some of the other people who I'm, competing in the pitch competition with. One in particular was 42 North. They have this pitch. It's in Buffalo, and it's a $5 million pitch. I think it was a little higher this year, but these top companies get to go for a pot of $5 million, and you get a part of this program. Although, so I made it all the way to this finals. It was very rigorous. Tons of applications, due diligence. You go from final 20 to like final 10 to final 8. So we got to make it to the final 10 round, to the very end of the finals. And what was a lesson learned big for me is just the way these companies have navigated to scale what they have done and like go to market strategy. So I was a little small fish in the pond. I had no traction like they did. My revenues weren't in the millions like they were. And I also didn't have I want to say the experience that they had. but I still made it to the top 10. So the note is that having a great product that solves a problem can still get you there, even if you may not have the same numbers as some of those big league people. But what the takeaway was is I learned so much about go-to-market strategy, how they were formulating partnerships, and how they were identifying channels and avenues to hit those type of projections. It was just great to have a front seat and even connect and ask questions and meet those people, because I want to be in those seats one day, right? And that that's also why they won, right? They had that level of clarity and roadmap laid out for their business. And I was just really learning. And I took that and I said, well, I'm ready now. Like, so being able to take that has now opened more doors for me, because now I've added that in my pitching, I've added that in my business strategy. So sometimes even just watching and viewing and listening to these businesses talk about what they do and who they solve it for, and how they're going to get the money and how they're going to use it to scale and grow has been a great point of mentorship for me. So something I actively do, and one that you mentioned coming up is I Fund Women. It is an annual pitch competition by the I Fund Women crowdfunding platform. And it was about 5,400 applications, and they basically give awards to top innovators and business people in different categories, and then we all get grants and awards. But then there's this one final award called Entrepreneur of the Year that we get to compete for $100,000 investment.
That seems like a pretty big investment. Uh,
It is. It's a pretty good, decent sized investment too. I've done pitch competitions where they've done investment too, and it's never been that big. So this is, for a pitch wise, this is pretty big.
that's fantastic. Now, what comes along with that? Do they offer some additional support services alongside the dollars?
Yep. So with the dollars, you get a part of an annual program and community with them. So they give you resources for sales and marketing, but also some mentorship and guidance to connect with some industry experts.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. So the I Fund Women is, do you know where they are based out of? I know you said 42 North was in,
Buffalo, New York.
yes.
I want to say I Fund Women perhaps is New York as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it kind of leads to my question. If both of those are in New York, I wonder if there may be some hot places where, SAS or no code or just even business competitions. Are there places where, that's prime in the market? It's a prime market for that sort of energy and activity, or
Yeah.
because you're still in Kalamazoo, right? That's home for you, right?
Michigan. Yep. In Kalamazoo.
Okay. So you've been able to reach your current level of success without moving to Atlanta or Austin or Birmingham.
Trying
You're
not
still
to.
right. You said-
Yeah, it's not always easy, and there may be times where you turn down opportunities because you choose to stay where you are. I won't. I'll be honest, say that I've been offered money, but requiring me to relocate my business. If I have gotten the Buffalo opportunity, it is requirement that for a year you relocate your business to Buffalo. And at the time for the opportunity where I was in business, I was absolutely able to consider that. Things have like changed since then. So I was like, if it came around again, I don't know if I can do that. But there are some funds and or sometimes requirements, especially accelerators or incubators, that may require you to relocate, because sometimes those dollars are all about them also stimulating their ecosystem. And so it's a little bit of my passion too, that Michigan should kind of have that, where we get funding and fund people here and you stay here, and or have money that attracts more industry to come to Michigan, as other areas like Cincinnati and Tulsa have implemented programs as well to kind of stimulate their economy by incentivizing people who are making money to make their money there, and also keeping their dollars they're investing local to them.
Oh, that's awesome, Sydney. So that sounds like the type of thing that local chambers and even the state of Michigan would get behind. Have you been able to form any partnerships or even have conversations with any of those entities, and allowing them to hear you talk about this economicology and really building around what you're doing?
No, not at the state level, but there are a couple people with initiatives, like Michigan Founders Fund has initiatives to kind of, one, like create a community of Michigan founders, connecting them with investment, working with investors who are already in Michigan to kind of build that gap and chain and connecting them with investors so we can start keeping our dollars here. So there is a start, and there are some communities doing some of that groundwork, like Michigan Founders Fund, Startup Zoo, or Start Garden, and Tech Town Detroit, and things of these sorts to kind of give people the funding they need to help them, one, grow and scale here and stay here, and to pay livable wages for people who also work here to stay here and stay employed here.
Yes, that's incredible. That's awesome. So, as how large is Nick's Code? Do you have other people working for you?
Yeah, so we're a team of 7. Yep. So still a small team, but we have people here local, Michigan, Chicago, and I think only one overseas. So we're pretty one majority local, and about small team with 6, 7 people.
No, that's a great size team. That's awesome. So, um, so you said, a lot of people are trying to figure out how do they kind of find their way through the maze of all these different millions of apps that are out there into the top 10. Have you had an app in the top 10, or have you helped somebody else create one that's reached that level yet?
I think there is. I can't take any credit for them getting there. They did all the legwork, but I think Max Pro Fitness is one of the apps that is probably top 10 at one point in time. Top 10 is usually driven by just amazing brand awareness and volume of downloaded users, like your TikToks and Candy Crush was, right? It just, they had the virality that really garnered that amount of downloads and people just like addicted to the platform. So you can find them mostly in gaming and social things. However, although that's an incentive and a goal for some people, a lot of people are mostly business apps. It's not about volume and downloads, but really a way to streamline to their consumers by streamlining processes in their business, by getting off the web and out of people's email inboxes and straight to their devices. But not only that, that they have a goal to, just have another avenue of marketing. You do email marketing, but push notification marketing is another one too, like Fashion Nova, who will send you about 1,001 text messages a day to buy something.
Got it. No, that's great. That's great. So, how are people finding Nick's Code?
Yeah, so we're pretty organic, word of mouth. I think we've done a great job at supporting founders, and people have had success building products on our platform. So word of mouth has been great for us. We don't do a lot of social marketing. We don't do any ads at the moment. We've never done any paid marketing. So it's really been great that we've gotten to almost 58,000 users pretty organically. And I think that word of mouth, people sharing what they're using to build, works. We established partnership with colleges and schools and incubators and accelerators like TechTown, and have their users use our platform. And then, we also do a lot of group work. I pitch a lot. So not only when I'm pitching, am I talking to investors and judges, but there are people in the audience who are like always, wow, like I'm gonna go use this platform because you're solving the problem for what I'm doing. So pitching actually has been the way I landed my first B2B like enterprise contract. Pitching has been the way I landed my first university contract. Pitching has been the way I've gotten my users, because not only are they online and streamed, they're in the audience. There's always someone out there who was like, either I have people who need you, I need you, or I know that my job can use a platform like this. And that's been the way I've gotten press written about me, and I have gotten opportunities to be put in front of people who could use our platform.
No, that's incredible. Yeah, even today, even though you have an audience of just one, I'm thinking of an app that I would like to develop, and so I'm going to be checking out Nick's Code to see if that's the right place for us. Um, so as I mentioned to you before we came on live, Project Green is hosting a watch party of FinFest, which is hosted in New Jersey by D Free, and the subtitle of FinFest this year is "Ownership is the New Black." Right. So really, I think right in line with who you are and what you're doing. And so we're going to be we're going to have a large breadth of topics that we discuss here locally in Grand Rapids. We're going to be talking about uh, how people should be preparing now for tax season. Next year, there will be some music industry representatives on the D Free stage talking about ownership in the music industry. Be some real estate conversations, um, and you know, I would love for you to share perhaps with some young person, maybe a teenager, young adult who might be thinking about business ownership. Um, what do you wish you knew when you were uh, 17 to, I don't know how old you are. So I'm just going to say, I don't know, maybe you are 17, but what do you wish you knew when you were younger,
Yeah.
that another young person might learn from as they think about their future?
It's hard to pin what you wish you knew, because I think at that age you really do know what you're supposed to do. Is taking it seriously to do it. Right. I think you always had mentors, your parent or a coach or somebody to tell you be consistent and have discipline. So I think you know what to do. I think at 17 it's like, well, I ain't gonna do it though, right? Take those things seriously. I say be consistent. When we consistently show up and apply yourself. And I know at that age it's difficult and sometimes we take for granted and we slack off, but consistency is getting back up and consistently trying again. And having discipline. I can't think of just already training myself to be a disciplined person and being consistent in what I'm doing and pursuing would have probably put me layers ahead of where I am now. And even now in my 30s, that I just now catch my discipline routine and actually master it. I can imagine if I had consistency and discipline back then, whoo, buddy, like the growth I would have had. But things in time. So being young at that age, I think you know the right from wrong. You know what the best and good choice decision is. Do that. Be disciplined. Have disciplined practices. The first thing I think to build discipline is make your bed. Making your bed every day, it feels like you got something accomplished, and it's the start of building discipline and starting to build routine. Make your bed. And there's a couple books around that too, as well as like building discipline and getting to success. But think you know what to do, but be consistent and be disciplined to make better decisions. Which means not falling into temptation, staying focused, not looking at everybody else's plate, focus on your own grass, water your own grass, stay consistent and stay disciplined.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, you did exactly what I was going to ask you, is to share a little bit about your own discipline routine, and you shared making your bed. That's great. um, another one that I'll have to admit I'm still trying to work on myself, and that's getting up at the same time every day. um,
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but then I had a child and all that went out the window.
all right, good,
Yeah,
good.
period.
Right, exactly. um, you mentioned books. Is there a book that comes to mind?
Ooh, books are so good. Okay, so the one that really helped me change how I see money and like making money is called Profit First. And now they have all kind of profit first by different industries, but just the general profit first is great to kind of shift our mindset that you learn in school: revenue minus expenses equal profit, but really how you can embed profit into your pricing, right? And so people say, well, I'm not profitable or I'm not making money, is because you haven't put that into your formula. So when we think about what we're going to charge or sell a subscription for or a product for, it could be a cup of coffee. Not only am I putting the cost of what the coffee is that I spent to make it, including labor, but that I'm going to also put in, I need that money back that I put into it to make the coffee. And then two, how much I want to earn off the coffee. Then three, the taxes I have to pay on that coffee sold. And four, how much profit I want to take home for every coffee I sell. And those four things should be building how we price something. And that covers the cost, covers your revenue. So money that you spend, and profit is money that you save to scale. And then of course, taxes.
Boom! You just did a little mini master class right there on profit first. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, well, Sydney, what else would you love to share with our audience that I have failed to ask you about today?
Um, I think really great discussion. I think consuming um, expert content is great. In helping you gain different perspectives and information about industry and the startup and business world around you. And I say diversify the content you absorb because of most of that like comes like for social media and the internet, so to speak, right? And I think anyone can have a anyone can have a voice on any platform, but I find that books and podcasts that are written by people with proven traction, proven result has been great to get different perspectives on people with some skin in the game. And it doesn't always have to be wins. We learn from losses as well. And we learn from people's failures and failing up, as we say, is really great too. And so that's been helpful for me. I've had my own losses that also inspire, my wins inspire as well. But I love to learn people's underdog story and people's losses and how you pivot out of that. And I think that shows resilience. And that's something you need to be a business owner and an entrepreneur is a bit of that too, because you're going to have it. You're going to have the underside of the iceberg quite a bit as an entrepreneur and business owner. And so getting that perspective, digging into some of that content, books and podcasts are a great start to just kind of gaining perspective and finding, like I say, mentorship through listening to people's stories.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you on your success thus far.
Thank
Uh,
you for having me.
Absolutely. And so, I see a comment there from Brandon. He said, "No code solutions are amazing. Congratulations on your growth." And so, again, you know, Sydney, I hope some of your friends and followers who hear this that they would um, come and hear from some of those experts who are going to be at FinFest this coming Saturday. So they're going to hear from, we've got Ash Cash, who is an author. He's got a podcast, a YouTube channel, just an amazing, he's full of energy. In fact, we're going to be talking with Ash Cash tonight live. So Sydney, if you have a chance, invite you to check out our
Yeah.
pages at 6 o'clock. We'll be talking with him. He's going to be there at FinFest. Jaquette Timmons, Dr. DeForest Buster Soares, who is my mentor, speaking of mentors, and the founder of D Free. And people will be helped if they attend, and then if they do what they learn, like you talked about, consistency and discipline. We know to do it. We just got to do it, right?
Yeah.
So appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing the celebration when you win this $100,000 from iFund Women.
Thank you so much.
All right, Sydney, have a great afternoon.
You too.